Guys, this book right here is absolutely everything. It is an amazing book. I know you guys will say I've come again, but honestly, there is nobody who knew that I was reading this book that didn't have anything good to say about it. If you're looking for a way to build good habits and break free of your bad habits, there is something different about this book, and I cannot wait to share it with you guys. So let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Rachel here. If you're new, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a thing. Today we are talking about this amazing book right here. I feel like I'm about to explode because I'm just so excited at how good this book is. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. This book was so good that I've literally already started implementing some of the things I've learned. That's the whole essence of the book. It's such a practical, easy book to read. And it's let's get into it. So James Clear is a writer and speaker focused on habits, decision making, and continuous improvement. He is the author of the New York Times bestseller, Atomic Habits. His work has appeared in Entrepreneur Magazine, Time Magazine, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and on CBS This Morning. His website, jamesclear.com, receives millions of visitors each month, and hundreds of thousands subscribe to his popular email newsletter. He's a regular speaker at Fortune 500 companies, and his work is used by coaches and players in the NFL, NBA, and MLB. Atomic Habits is the most comprehensive and practical guide on how to create good habits, break bad ones, and get 1% better every day. I do not believe you will find a more actionable book on the subject of habits and improvement. If you're having trouble changing your habits, the problem isn't you. The problem is your system. Bad habits repeat themselves not because you don't want to change, but because you have the wrong system for change. This is one of the core philosophies of Atomic Habits. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. In this book, you'll get a proven plan that can take you to new heights. James Clear, one of the world's leading experts on habit formation, is known for his ability to distill complex topics into simple behaviors that can be easily applied to daily life and work. Here, he draws on the most proven ideas from biology, psychology, and neuroscience to create an easy-to-understand guide for making good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. Along the way, readers will be inspired and entertained with true stories about Olympic gold medalists, award-winning artists, business leaders, life-saving physicians, and star comedians who have used the science of small habits to master their craft and vault to the top of their field. Atomic Habits will reshape the way you think about progress and success and give you the tools and strategies you need to transform your habits. Whether you are a team looking to win a championship, an organization hoping to redefine an industry, or simply an individual who wishes to quit smoking, lose weight, reduce stress, and achieve success that lasts. So this book was published in 2018, and I love the way the book is structured. It comes in 7 parts. So the first part of the book, he sort of introduces us to himself. He tells us his story, which is so good because I'd never read anything about James Clear, and it was nice to understand how he came about this theory and practical guide of Atomic Habits, increasing yourself 1% better every day and doing something small. That's the whole idea of Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits means something small that is sort of like the foundation. Like, you know what an atom is, which is like really small, but it makes up a whole of something. It's attacking the small 1% that you can do every day to get better, which sort of form the foundation of your bigger goals or your bigger dreams or whatever it is you want to achieve. He talks about tiny changes in life, how your habits shape your identity, and vice versa. A lot of us are always trying to change our habits. We're trying to build good habits, but we forget that our habits are attached to our identity and our identities are attached to our habits. So no matter how much you try so hard to build a good habit, your identity might just be the thing that is blocking you from building a good habit. Most people don't even consider identity change when they set out to improve. They just think, I want to be skinny. That's the outcome. And if I stick to this diet, then I'll be skinny. That's the process. They set goals and determine the actions that they should take to achieve those goals without considering the beliefs that drive their actions. They never shift the way they look at themselves, and they don't realize that their old identity can sabotage their new plans for change. Behavior that is incongruent with self will not last. Also, he says it's hard to change your habits if you never change the underlying beliefs that led to your past behavior. You have a new goal and a new plan, but you haven't changed who you are. He also says the ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes a part of your identity. It's one thing to say, I'm the type of person who wants this. It's something very different to say, I'm the type of person who is this. He talks about the science behind habits. That's cue, craving, response, and reward. That is, there is a cue. Like, in other words, to build a good habit, there's usually always a cue. Even for habits that we have, there's usually always a cue. Then there's a craving to satisfy what you want to do. And then there's a response, which is your action. And then there's a reward. So if the response that you act makes you feel good, which is the reward, then you will most likely repeat that action again. Then he breaks down the other parts of the book into the first law, the second law, third law, and fourth law of building good habits, as well as their inversion, which I'm going to definitely get into. At the end, he talks about advanced tactics and the downsides of creating good habits, what you can do when you started creating good habits, but then you slip back into your bad habits. He also talks about how to stay motivated in life and work, how to break beliefs that hold you back, how to stick to good habits every day, and the cardinal rule of behavior change. This book is packed, you guys. I don't know if this review is going to do good justice to this book. It is packed. One of the things that I love the most about this book as I read it was the fact that there was scientific research that was done in some of these theories and practical guides that he put forward. And some of these things had to do with psychology, behavioral change, reinforcement, some of those things that I've learned also in psychology. And you guys know how much I love psychology. So I was so excited to see how some elements of behavioral psychology could actually contribute to you building good habits and breaking bad ones. At the end of every law, there was this sort of summary. So each chapter has a summary, but at the end of each law, you see where you're at. So I'm going to show you the final of the 4 laws as well as their inversion. So the 4 laws are basically, and for me, just so that I don't forget, I made it into a sort of, this is what I do when I'm reading for exams, OAES. I said OIS. The first law is make it obvious. The second law is make it attractive. The third law is make it easy. And the fourth law is make it satisfying. And each of these laws have their inversions, which he examined in the book. The first one is make it obvious, right? And in that making it obvious, he talks about how for you to build good habits, you need to be able to make them obvious. You need to put things around that cue. If you want to wake up early to jog, you want to form a habit of jogging, you need to be able to put out your gym clothes, you need to be able to put out things. You make it obvious that, okay, tomorrow morning I'm hitting the streets and I'm going for a jog. So he says, fill out a habit scorecard, write down your current habits to become aware of them, because there are a lot of things that we do subconsciously that have formed part of our habits, but we just don't know that they are part of our habits. Use implementation intentions. I will do so and so at so time and at so location. And the reason why he says this is because he doesn't want you to make things that are vague. You just say, oh, I'll jog tomorrow. What time are you going to jog tomorrow? You want to read a book, you want to write more. You need to put a specific time and a specific location. He says use habit stacking. I love habit stacking because it means that after you do something, then you will do something else. So maybe you have a current habit that you know that you already do, and that's why you need to fill a habit scorecard so that you know what you already do. For example, you know that you have a habit of brushing your teeth every morning. So you can say, after I brush my teeth this morning, I'm going to immediately put on my shoes for jogging. He says design your environment, make the cues of good habits obvious and visible. How do you break a bad habit from the first law? He says make it invisible, reduce exposure, remove the cues of your bad habits from your environment. Now, you know that you have a bad habit of eating at 11 p.m. and it's always snacks or biscuits or whatever. You want to break that habit. Why would you still have like snacks and things staring at you in your room? Move everything out of your room. If you have a bad habit of looking at your phone 2 hours before you sleep, but you want to break that habit, you can take away the phone from the room, go and put it in the living room, or put it in a different part of your room that is not close to the bed where your hand can reach. The second law is make it attractive. And by doing that, he says use temptation bundling. Pair an action you want to do with an action you need to do. Join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. And this is where he talks about environment. Everybody wants to hype about motivation, but motivation is not really all that. It really matters on the environment that you find yourself in. If you're really motivated to be creative, if you're really motivated to break a bad habit of gossiping or whatever, but you find yourself in an environment where this is constantly done, you find yourself in an environment that is unproductive, people are negative, and you want to build a habit of being positive, you're not going to, no matter how motivated you are, you're still going to find yourself in the same mindset of the environment that you're in. And that's why he says join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal. Create a motivation ritual. Do something you enjoy immediately before a difficult habit. And then to break that second law, he says make it unattractive. Reframe your mindset. Highlight the benefits of avoiding your bad habits. Down to the third law, he says make it easy. Now under that, you have reduce friction, decrease the number of steps between you and your good habits. So if you know that you're trying to jog in the morning, put your things in the same room that you're sleeping, not in a room 3 doors down, that by the time you take 2 steps towards that door, you're like, man, I can't keep myself. He also talks about priming the environment. Prepare your environment to make future actions easier. Master the decisive moment. Optimize the small choices that deliver outsized impacts. Now, this was a very, very important topic that he talked about decisive moments. Look, you wake up in the morning, you say you want to jog at 6:30, you wake up at 6. Now, there is that moment when you open your eyes where you're thinking, oh man, work starts at 9. Should I go back to sleep? Should I bounce out of bed? That decisive moment can literally change the way your whole day will go, and it can literally change how you want to build your good habits. So if you make in that little moment, that decisive moment, I'm going to bounce out of bed, then you see how you're able to build that good habit of going out to jog every morning. Use the 2-minute rule. Downscale your habits until they can be done in 2 minutes or less. And he's talking about the atomic habits, not necessarily the big habits. If you look at the habit that you're trying to change and the little habit that you're trying to make can be done in 2 minutes or less. So for example, you want to go out to jog. That is like the big habit that you're trying to build. But what does it take for you to go out to jog? You need to put on your gym clothes. You need to put on your sneakers. Now that sneakers that you're putting on, or your running shoes, make sure that as you're tying them, it's less than 2 minutes. You're brushing your teeth, less than 2 minutes. Make sure that the little atomic habits that make up the big habit that you're trying to create all are done in less than 2 minutes. Why? Because the longer it takes to do certain things, the more you're like, oh my goodness, let me just be. And then at the end of the day, you find that you stretch things out too much and you're not able to complete even that atomic habits, not to talk of the big habits. Automating your habits. Invest in technology and one-time purchases that lock in future behavior. For this one, he talked especially about building the habit of saving. If you know that you want to save, you can use technology to find a way they can instantly debit you when you get your salary or whatever it is that you want to do, rather than saying, oh, don't worry, no, as soon as I get my salary, I'm going to do the transfer to my safe deposit. If you're trying to break a habit maybe of social media consumption, he also gives an example where you can just have something that automatically resets your password after a certain number of hours that you are on social media, so that you can focus on the work at hand, especially if it's eating out of your productive time. The inversion of the third law is to make it difficult. How do you do that? By increasing friction. Increase the number of steps between you and your bad habits. You want to read that book, put your phone away from you, drop it in the other room, so that by the time you want to reach for your phone subconsciously, you remember, oh, it's like at least 6 steps away from me. By the time you think about the efforts that you need to pick up that phone, then you suddenly lose interest in that. He also talks about using a commitment device. Restrict your future choices to the ones that benefit you. Now, the fourth law is to make it satisfying. Use reinforcement. Give yourself an immediate reward when you complete your habit. Make doing nothing enjoyable. When avoiding a bad habit, design a way to see the benefits. Use a habit tracker, keep track of your habit streak, and don't break the chain. Never miss twice. When you forget to do a habit, make sure you get back on track immediately. So give yourself a reward, but in doing that, James Clear, he's so funny. When I saw that use reinforcement, give yourself an immediate reward, I was so excited, but he then went and burst my bubble and said, it is worth noting that it is important to select short-term rewards that reinforce your identity rather than the ones that conflict with it. Similarly, if your reward for exercising is eating a bowl of ice cream, then you're casting votes for conflicting identities and it ends up being a wash. Because sometimes we do that a lot. You go and exercise one day, and then you're excited, you're like, yes, I'm going to get these abs are mine, I can do whatever I want. The next day I'm out going to go and buy tutti frutti or whatever, and I'll buy tutti frutti for like 3 days straight to celebrate one day of working out for 30 minutes. While you're trying to make it satisfying, you have to make sure that you are doing things that identify with this new identity that you're trying to create in building a habit. Remember, you cannot change your habit, or you cannot build a good habit and break a bad one if you do not also change your identity as well. You have to learn how to be okay with unlearning and relearning new things. So the inversion of the fourth law is that you make it unsatisfying. If you want to break a bad habit, get an accountability partner, ask someone to watch your behavior, create a habit contract, make the cost of your bad habits public and painful. One major thing that I also learned from this book is forget about goals, focus on systems instead. And it says goals are the results you want to achieve. Systems are about the processes that lead to those results. Everybody sets out with the same goal. Look, 2 runners in an Olympic race have the same goal. What is the goal? They want to win. But it's not about the goal. Anybody can have a goal. Anybody can have a dream. It's about the system. So don't focus on the goal like, yes, I know where I want to go. What systems are you putting in place to get you to those goals? And the truth about it is that most goals that we have will require us to build good habits that would sustain those goals, and that's where it comes to systems. You need to be able to build good systems that would lead you to those goals or to the promised land. I've tried so hard to summarize this book, but it's literally impossible. I would just advise that you pick the book. If you really are looking for a way to create good habits and break bad ones, you need to pick up this book and read it. I really love this book, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I'll put a link in the description box so that you guys can know where I got mine from, and you can also get yours as well. This is definitely one of the best books that I've read so far in 2020, and it deserves a resounding 9.5/10 from me because of how practical and how easy it was to understand. Thank you guys so much for watching this book review. If you enjoyed it, you can leave a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.